Welcome to the KINJAZ Podcast. Here we will discuss dance, life, and whatever the we want.
Folks, welcome back or welcome to Kinjaz Movement in the Shadows. We are your host, Ben.
And I am Anthony.
And we have a very special friend guest in the pod today. We have actor, singer, director, producer, designer, entrepreneur. You may know him from the Chinese pop band F4, as well as the Korean Mando pop duo Kangta and Vanness. We have Vanness Wu in the podcast today.
Heyo.
Vanness,
Did we already
welcome.
fuck up our intro?
No, I mean,
Is that like old stuff to you?
no, it's just funny. I don't really hear people introducing me a lot. Like
Ever?
I do, but
So
it's
what-
just-
what-
Is it more like coming in from Santa Monica, weighing in at 117 pounds, 5'9", and all delicious? I don't even know how tall you are. 5'11"?
5'11"? Yeah.
Oh, damn, I just guessed. Yeah.
Look at that.
Yes.
Look at that.
More like that.
No, it's just
Is that weird for you? People like run down your resume?
yes. I think that's more what it is than
Got it.
than like people actually introducing me because people have, but when you just hear it again, you're just like, well, I mean,
I feel you, man.
at the end of the day, we just do it because we love doing it.
Right,
It's
right,
not
right.
necessarily like this is what we do. This is what we want to be known for. Maybe when we're younger, our egos wanted it, but as you get older, you're just like
I totally
more
hear you.
seasoned. You're just like, no, I'm like, there comes a turning point where it's like, why am I doing all of this? And ultimately, it's just because
I love
just
that. I already
have that
love where this
passion.
is going.
Get straight into it.
Yeah.
Well,
Love it.
speaking of straight into it, I mean, when we have our first time guests, we'd like to get background and kind of just give our listening audience a little
Right.
bit of an origin. So, however you want to go into it, what's kind of the background story of
Give
Vanness?
us the origins.
My
of
origin,
Vanness
the
Wu.
origin of Vanness. I feel like the origin of Logan. It really is, let's see how deep you want to go.
However deep you want to go, man.
Honestly, like people, what you just named off, right? It all stemmed from a certain place, probably from within. Just this kid just wanted to do some stuff, that he enjoyed and thought was cool. But, when growing up, getting picked on and everything, people probably said it wasn't, or probably like shamed him or stuff like that. But I just kind of did it my own. And I always stuck with it. I was chubby growing up, and my mom sent me to like Weight Watchers.
Hey, I think all three of us here
Hey,
can
yeah, all
relate-
three of us
we
are-
can relate to the.
We didn't get sent to Weight Watchers. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah.
though.
I was sent twice.
You were sent to Weight Watchers.
That's how bad it was.
That's pretty next level. Your parents are very supportive in a weird way.
It's either supportive or just we shame of you.
Wow,
Lose
okay.
weight. I still remember the first day no, not the first day, but I got back from Weight Watchers the first time, and then the piano teacher that I haven't seen in a very long time was coming upstairs, and she's like, oh. I came upstairs and she's like, I heard you lost a lot of weight. And she looked at me in the first moment. You can tell in her eyes, she's like, you gained weight. You didn't look like you lost
Oh,
weight.
dang. How old were you when you got sent to Weight Watchers? This is already phenomenal to me.
Yeah, I was like, see, my first time I went, I was 12.
12 years old.
No, younger than 12. I think
Younger
I was like
than
10.
12.
Yeah, and then my mom sent me a second time when I was 12.
Wait, how much did you weigh at 10 years old that your parents sent you to Weight Watchers? One, they're either very, very modernized, and I'm already celebrating their just adaptability in our culture.
I think they were just lazy that they didn't know what to do or how to like get me into better shape. My dad, he always just loved feeding us food, so that's kind of why she sent us. And then her being the the mom that, oh, don't touch my face, I have makeup on. When you're a kid trying to give her a hug type of thing. She was just like, you can't be overweight kind of thing.
So very conscious, very aware,
Yeah. I think it was more
about-
for just vanity reasons, to be honest. I feel like it was just like, you shouldn't be so fat.
And so you were born here in
I was born in Santa Monica,
Okay.
and then grew up in LA, and then also Orange County. So stemming back to that, it was just kind of like my roots. Just when I went to Weight Watchers, I finally learned how to get routine, like a rhythm, right? Because you do aerobics every day, and one and two
at Weight Watchers.
at Weight Watchers, and
Okay.
you're learning how to actually stay on beat when you're dancing. So I remember this one point, like when I was a kid, my sister was doing the Running Man, I couldn't do it, and then she's like, you can't dance. I'm like, I could dance, but I really couldn't. But I just saw them move, and it really intrigued me. Michael Jackson, I saw him when I was really young, and so that really intrigued me. Also, Beat Street. Breaking 1 and 2, Electric Boogaloo, all of that, right? Crush Groove. So watching all of those, I really loved dancing. So finally being able to dance, I remember at the dance during the Weight Watchers, I was doing like a Running Man. And then I was like, oh, let's get it down. And then there's a crowd around me. They call it shuffling now, by the way. But back then they called it Running Man.
Yes.
And then there was a crowd around me, and then that cheer. Once that cheer hits you, it filled all my love languages, the love tank and everything. And I was just like, wow, I fell in love with just being in that moment of just dancing and the audience and that, interaction. And that kind of sparked everything else of me finding confidence in myself, me wanting to do something more on stage, whether it be singing, whether it be dancing or acting or other things. So it kind of developed into that. But
This is the best Weight Watchers ad I've ever heard. I'm like mind blown right now.
I'm
now,
envisioning
Weight
the
Watchers.
cipher at a Weight Watchers.
Yeah, we
Cipher,
you got to go back to the ciphers at Weight Watchers. That's how people start scouting.
I love it, man.
oh my goodness.
That's so sick.
I never even thought about that. Yeah, we ciphered down at Weight Watchers. Yeah.
That's good.
man.
That's good. So, so at this time you're 12, and this is when like breaking all that stuff was like.
Yeah,
heavy
and
in
then
your
that's
life.
when I met LA Boys. LA Boys originally from Irvine, Orange County, TR Posse and all that stuff in Turtle Rock. And Jeff Huang with his brother Stanley Huang and Stephen Lin, they were all into dancing. They went back to Taipei, and then they put out an album. And then they kind of were the ones that brought hip hop and R&B to Asia, not to Asia, to Taiwan.
Mhm.
And I thought that was really cool. I knew them. I was like, oh, those are my friends. And then we had another group of friends from, I think, Huntington and like Garden Grove area, in the OCK town area, right?
Yeah.
And it was Jay Chong and like John Lee, Ijun, and like Kim Jo-an, and they were the
Solid,
guys. They were the
yeah,
solid
okay.
guys. So they all hung out together. And I was introduced to Solid when I was like 13, I think. And that's how I got more and more into singing and just performing. Kind of I was actually in 4 different groups growing up. One was me and my cousin and 2 of Jeff's cousins, the LA Boys cousins. And we would kind of do like this boys to men kind of can dance, also boy band,
Perfect. What was the group name?
I don't think we had one at that time. But then there was another one where I did it with like 3 Korean guys and me being the only, non-Korean speaking.
Non-Korean. Mhm.
But because of Solid, I still sang in Korean. I sang all their Korean songs because in high school, a lot of cute girls were Korean. So we would just,
a lot of cute girls are still Korean.
Yeah, yes,
Very true.
yes, very true.
Yeah, all girls are cute, but back then for us at that time, it was just the Korean girls for some reason. They just really knew how to like dress up, at that time, I think. So it was, it was just like learning the music and then performing, and then sooner or later, like being in 4. But like I said, the second one was all Korean speaking, but I sang in Korean. The third one was, we tried to give it another go with the guys, my cousin and Jeff's cousin. That one kept changing different people, because he really wanted to do it. He had the avenue. He was already there. He was already in it. So it was kind of like no-brainer type thing.
Yeah.
But instead, my sister actually was in it. He did a group for my sister. So I went into Taipei and I saw and I was exposed to all of this, and I was just like, wow, it's so cool. Like being in that spot, and then you see it actually with people that and you feel like it's attainable, right? And then you can do it. And then so it was kind of like always something in my heart.
And in that spot, what do you specifically like? Broadly entertainment? Are you talking like specifically like Asian pop culture and like music specifically? Like,
Music, it was just the pop music scene.
Yeah.
They were bringing that over. Yeah, and then the last one actually was with me and my sisters. My mom was like, "You 3 could be in a group. Put us 3 in a group." So we actually went to like, we actually got signed too. We got signed in Westminster.
Wow. This is a Vietnamese label?
Amongst,
I love it.
Oh, damn. Already sounds shady, man.
but you know what I mean? Like, and back then, I was already doing the import show off car dance competitions, street dance competitions.
Yeah.
And before getting into that, but yeah, like so it was amongst the Vietnamese community, and they they would do cover songs, right? They would do a cover of Mando pop songs in English. And then so we were doing all of that. We went to Atlantic City, we went to Vegas, and we just performed with me and my sisters.
Whoa.
And at that time, it was really fun looking back because, you know, you could spend time with your family and your mom, and you're just like kind of traveling a little bit here and there. And then soon after,
And how old are you at this point?
18.
18?
Oh wow, okay.
19,
So
yeah.
you've kind of been in it for a good chunk of years by now. Like as far as dance and entertainment. And all
Was
that.
it just no high school? Like you didn't have to go to high school? I thought you went to Corona Del Mar High.
I went to CDM, and then I went to University High. Yeah. And I
Oh,
switched.
Uni in Irvine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I switched because there's a lot of racism in CDM back then.
Mm.
And growing from junior year, because it's from junior to senior.
Uh-huh.
I mean, not sorry, junior,
In middle school.
yeah, junior high and high school together.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
So 7th and 8th grade, you already have seniors picking on you.
Yeah,
You know what
Got
I mean? You
it,
got these
yeah.
kids. In OC, it's all surfer skaters. So you have all these surf skate culture kids, punk rockers, you know, grunge, and they're looking at you and they're straight up just, you know, in your face. And you're so young and you're just like, oh, okay. You know, like
Right.
I didn't really understand it. I heard it. Nobody actually told me like, oh, yeah, it's not good. You know, until
Yeah.
later on, even when I started, you know, hanging out with more and more Asian American people. And then actually it was with Jeff and them. And then that moment when I saw how supportive they were for the culture of the community, you know, being Asian American. And then I was like, oh, wow, like they're actually really talking down to me. So then slowly kind of standing up for myself. But it was still really tough, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, you got a full school kid. And back then I'm going to CDM, I'm wearing cross colors. I'm already in the dance, right? Because that's when I was 13. But I'm wearing very big, bright yellow shants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I had those.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I had the purple ones, and then the jabot, and then
Jinkos. You rock Jinkos?
Jinkos for a while. The
Yeah.
You rocking like Nautica
Carl
and
Kanai?
Polo Sport and stuff?
Yeah.
I didn't go so into Nautica or Polo. It was more jabot, cross color, and what was it?
Carl Kanai.
Carl Kanai,
Yeah.
some other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
But that, you know, it's funny when you say that, like, then you're not thinking like, I am Asian, can I wear this? You just think I'm into this like hip hop culture stuff.
Yeah.
And so you associate the clothing with the culture versus am I, as this Asian kid, am I allowed to wear this stuff, right?
yeah, because you actually heard a story back then. Oh yeah, you wear that stuff in our high school, like in like, you know, Rosecrans or something like that. You'll get shot, you'll get beat up. You know, you wear cross colors, you get beat up for some reason. Because back then it was just like, you know, only black people wore it. It was very just like hip hop, it's our culture, right? And then you can't, back then I was wearing like a Malcolm X hat, and like you can't wear Malcolm X hats, you know, like, and all that stuff. And it was weird. It's like, and I'm still learning it myself what exactly is this, right? Trying to figure it out. Because back then it was, you know, from Run DMC, like my first music video was Run DMC that I shot, you know, versus Jason Evans that I actually did. So I was like, okay, at least I have some legitimacy to my hip hopness, right? That if you want to call it that, right? To the roots of me just loving dance, loving to dance, and then with that came everything else. But yeah, that's kind of how it all started. Yeah.
So how did you transition from just kind of falling in love with the culture of like hip hop and music, entertainment, to then transitioning to like going to China and really like pursuing it professionally? What was that sort of breaking point for you?
After I finished the group stuff with my sisters, I remember I was working at my uncle's fast food joint in Irvine called Chopsticks. It was right next to Pasta Bravo, where Mervin's was on Barranca.
This sounds super familiar.
Yeah.
I know the logo too.
Yeah.
It's on Barranca and Culver.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I was just working at his fast food joint for years, you know, because trying to figure out what I'm doing with my life, right? Like school is great. I love school. I tell everybody, go to school, stay in school, study hard. But it just wasn't for me at that time. And I remember seeing Jeff, and he came up to me. He's like, "Hey, Vanness, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I just working stuff like that." He's like, "So what are you doing now?" I'm like, "Just been working." He's like, "Well, why don't you go to Taiwan and do nothing? And who knows, maybe you'll become famous." Right? He said that to me, and I was like, "Huh, okay." So I kind of like decided after saving like $1,200 in one pocket and then the other one just like filled with dreams, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go for it. So I moved to Taipei when I was 22, right when I hit 22, early 2000s, and just decided to try to pitch my demos. I went and did my demos, went to all the different record labels to try to do an album because I really love dancing and I felt like that's the only way I'll be able to dance, right, and perform on stage, because it's very, very hard to do a living being a dancer. I'm sure everybody who's a dancer knows. And I tried. You know, I danced for the Korean concerts back in the days. When it was funny when he said the Korean Mando duo with Kangta, right? I actually backed up dance for this group called Noise.
I know Noise. Yeah.
When HOT was performing at that concert too.
Yeah,
it was like a SBS model concert.
Yeah. You know what's crazy that you made an album with Kangta? So HOT was the reason I started dancing, because I watched K-pop HOT videos and I was like, and literally my friends and we literally just ripped all the choreo from the HOT Candy video.
Right.
And we just did that at these like local festivals out here. So
are you Korean?
I'm Korean.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you know how to sing Candy then.
I do. Absolutely. I still remember the dance.
This is me in the corner grabbing my drink.
We're singing Candy right now. Tripping,
Context,
bro. Yeah.
context. Y'all are roughly the same age as well, by the way.
Okay, cool.
I'm slightly
Yeah,
younger,
that's cool.
but
That's how you know
everything-
Solid and everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm friends with Jay Chong.
Awesome. So yeah, because Solid, they were like my hyungs, and they were, you know, growing up, I'm like, dude, I have to learn their tracks and just, you know what I mean? And they pulled us. They were actually the ones that really exposed us to the ins and outs of the whole scene too, and for K-pop. Because back then, like when they were performing at Shrine Auditorium in LA, with who was there? Deuce, Soteji, King
all the OGs.
all the
man.
OGs, you know, and then Rula, all of them, right?
Lula was the first K-pop or first concert I ever went to was a
Really?
Lula concert. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, they're so fine. I was so in love with them. I'm like, dude, she's so fine.
Which really at this time too, like in terms of a lot of that Asian icon pop culture, like this was like kind of the birth and the budding time frame and era of that. You know what I mean? Like there's no way that like all the major, you know, right now we're seeing some of the biggest K-pop groups in the world being the biggest pop artists and icons in the world. But like you know, all these names that I'm familiar with that y'all just mentioned too, like I remember that being like the era that probably started everything, you know what I mean? So like this was a huge and important kind of era for Asian pop and music.
For sure. I felt like it was the grassroots for hip hop to be really introduced to Asia, you know, in Korea and in Mandarin speaking countries. You know what I mean? Because Solid, they were huge. I mean, they literally brought the whole R&B. I remember their demo tape. I had their demo tapes, the ones that they sent to their audition tapes, because I was huge LA Boys and Solid fans. I still am. You know, like I know their rap songs. I know all their raps. I know all their Korean songs. You know, because it was just like I was so proud that they're my friends and they're doing something that is different. You know, and people are looking at them like, wow, they're cool. You know what I mean? Those are cool Asian guys, right? And that's what I really wanted to associate myself with in that sense back then, because going to CDM, I wasn't the cool Asian kid. I was a chubby Chinese kid that the people were just picking on the whole time. You know, so it was like pick on the chubby Asian kid, you know, all day. So it was kind of like that development, you know, and then dance gave me confidence to be myself, to talk to women, talk to girls, right? Girls always loved dancers back then. Even though I didn't go to UCI, I was dancing for CA. I was dancing for other.
There it is.
Exactly. I was dancing for
the
China,
connection.
You know,
CADC right there. Shout out.
We were very close with the Kaba Modern people.
Yeah, I was on Kaba. He was on CADC.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like Kimmy and is it Ivan or Ivar? Ivan.
I think Ivan.
I think it was Ivan.
I don't know that.
Ivan and Kimmy, Chris Wang.
Yeah, Chris Wang.
Chris Wang, yeah.
Chris
Wang was
Wang
on
is
both crews.
Freaks
Yep.
of Nature.
That was us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you were with Freaks of Nature?
That was us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, look at that.
So, like, when I see all the dancers now, I'm just like, part of me's like, I feel like I have part in that. Like, we did something to help it grow to where it is
Yeah,
today.
Yeah,
you know,
you're part of the history, absolutely.
Yeah, because we loved it. Like, we broke into UCI. We broke into the dance studios at UCI. He's laughing.
Chad's loving
Why are
it
you
right now.
laughing, Chad?
It's so relatable.
It is. So
we
it is.
literally we had a little, you know, a knife, like a little butter knife. You stick it underneath the door and shimmy it.
So you literally broke in.
I kid you not. We literally broke into UCI.
Yeah,
You shimmy it, and
good.
you pop the lock,
Yeah.
and the door opens. And we would go in like at 10:30, 11 at night.
Yeah.
Wouldn't leave till 2 p.m. No, sorry, not 2 p.m. Like 2 a.m.
Oh, okay,
3
I was
a.m.
about to say, y'all went nuts.
we would meet at Starbucks, where Del Taco is on campus, and then we would go to UCI,
Yeah.
and then we would just dance our asses off for the whole entire night, and it was so great. It was like one of the best times of my life. I remember because that's all we did. That's all we cared about, and that's all that mattered. You know, getting that
Totally.
right move,
Absolutely.
getting that
Absolutely.
groove,
Yep,
you know, and
we
then
know that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
and then with that came everything else. You know, with that came the confidence again. I keep saying this because I feel like we have to have faith and believe in ourselves to the highest excellence that we can be, because nobody else will. For me, nobody else will but God himself. And I have to hold myself in that highest standard. And only then will I become that. You know, if I think I'm going to be, if I put my if I will become, sorry, let me try to see how to articulate this. I will become the person, let's see. I'll become whoever the person I value the most and how he sees me. So if it's like my dad and I value him the most, I will become that person that he sees fit I should be. But if I see for myself, in my beliefs, if I see how God sees me as his favorite, perfect, you know, forgiven, blessed, all of these things, you know, filled with grace. And that is how I hone in that frequency every day, then life is so much easier. And I felt like it was a learning day by day, hour by hour, criticism by criticism, you know, being capped on, being shut down, you know, all these things, and then fully understanding and finding what unconditional grace and love is for myself.
Wow.
So through those circumstances, like when and how did you find that kind of strength of faith? You know what I mean? Because you're talking about how, you know, being shut down or being chubby not feeling like you fit in or whatever it is. But then at the same time, having access and having examples or you know, resources and people around you that might inspire kind of a roadmap that would eventually lead you with $1,200 in one pocket and a bunch of hopes and dreams and that they're over to Taiwan when you're in your 20s. You know what I mean? Like that takes an absurd amount of faith in oneself and confidence to kind of like ditch everything that they've ever grown up knowing and try something so brand new. And I kind of want to dive into that real quick because you know, it's been amazing kind of going back in the history, and we have such a relatable history, right? For everybody who's listening in right now, to even know that we all were at one or at different times in the same space doing the same thing, almost feeling the same vibe and frequency, but just in different times of our lives.
In different neighborhoods.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Different cities, that's
Totally.
it.
But with you and your circumstances, your condition, you know, you were, something motivated you so strongly that you were like, I'm gonna go chase something way larger, way bigger. You know what I mean? Like, where did you find that faith that you can speak so confidently right now about, you know?
Back then, I felt like it's always with you. Like this frequency and energy. We all have that frequency. Our heartbeat is a rhythm. There's a rhythm in a heartbeat. So that's a sound wave. That's a frequency. We're all connected in some way, shape, or form, right? So that frequency is always there. It's just depending on where we want to dial in to what frequency. It could be a negative low frequency. It could be a high, right? but that frequency is always there. So I felt like when I was younger, even though I was picked on like crazy, I was just always happy. Because I felt like, I don't know, I felt like I had the support of my mom, and she was always happy, right? And she always took care of me, and she always made sure that I was okay.
Yeah, she sent you to Weight Watchers.
Right?
She gives a F. You know
Come
what
here.
I mean?
I give a F. You fat, you go. Right?
F for fat.
Right? I give a fat.
Oh, man, that's good.
But yeah, it was just like, I don't know. I was just always happy. I was able to see the stuff I wanted to see. My mom gave me a lot of freedom to explore, enjoy, and just watch and soak in. Whether it's the TV, whether it's shows, whether it's stuff, she was just very supportive in that aspect, right? And so were my sisters after a point, you know, before it was like, oh, the dorky brother.
For sure.
Sisters are older, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So you're the youngest in the family.
At that time.
Okay.
And then when I was 10, my mom remarried, and then I have a younger brother, younger sister.
Got it.
And then you fast forward 20 years later, I think my dad had another kid, so then I have another baby sister who is 1 year younger than my niece.
Wow.
It's a very interesting family dynamic,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we all hung out. When I came back this last trip, I took them all to Disneyland. Thank you, Disney, for hooking us up with
Shout out,
VIP.
Walt.
Shout out, Walt.
Shout out Walt. Hook us up, Walt. Sponsor the show as well.
They literally, they're like, yeah, they hooked it up. It was like 10 people.
Amazing. Yeah.
VIP. And I made sure I took just my cousins and my sisters and my brothers, and you know what I mean? It was
Yeah,
so
family affair. Absolutely.
It was so good. But it was that, I think, family energy and frequency that kind of just said like, go do it. You know, they fully supported me. Just go do it. You know, just fuck it. Just try it.
I almost feel like you're based off the variables of your story that you're telling me. I almost feel like it was like destiny. You know what I mean? It was something a lot bigger
than
you know?
me. You know what I mean? Because I look at myself and like, why me? I'm not different than anybody else. What made me so special that it was me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, what, am I the best singer that I just freaking could have done it? No. You know what I mean? Like, there's tons of great singers. Was I the best dancer? Was I the best at this? No. Jack of all trade, right? I wouldn't say master of none, but yeah, you know, back then.
Yeah, totally.
So it was just this driving force of people believing in me. Like friends and family, like, yeah, give it a go. If you think that's what you need to do it. Oh man, I don't want to
get into it. No, you have to. You just stuttered right now as if you didn't want to get into it. Now I desperately want you to get into it.
But the person who was very against it was my dad.
Against it.
He was very against it. He's very traditional.
Mm-hmm.
Even after I got into it, he was like, why don't you get a real job? Why don't you come home, go back to school, get a real job? And then last week, a couple of weeks ago, he's like, yeah, can you come to my office? Like, you have some fans here, you know, it'd be great if you could make an appearance.
I thought you were about to say a couple of weeks ago, hey, you know, why don't you get a real job?
There's a job opening at my
Right.
office right now.
Funny thing was, like, afterwards, I said that to him, like, yeah, and then you used to say that ish to me, you know, and then he was like, yeah, but it wasn't a bad idea. You know? And I was like, all right.
Like you proved him wrong, basically.
It wasn't really about, well, there's part of me, I definitely want to prove him wrong.
Yeah.
But it was just like proving to myself that,
Totally.
no, what I believe in is right. My truth is right, is real, you know, is valid, right? And that's kind of like what helped along the way. But definitely lost myself along the way. We experienced fame at such a young age. At like 20, I would say 23.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what, like 2002, 2003-ish? Trying to do quick math.
Right. So
Yeah, like 2002, right?
yeah.
Oh.
About 2002, literally when we came out, we broke out. There was never a TV series like this ever in all of Asian television.
You're
right?
talking about Meteor Garden?
Meteor Garden.
Meteor Garden.
There was never a TV show that was geared for teenagers or excuse me, in that direction, right? It was like I would always reference it like Beverly Hills 90210 because you got kids in high school, and that's what we were, kids in high school. And then, and you know, it was based off Japanese manga or comic book, anime, whatever. And the hard hitters, anime and manga are so different. Why you say that? you know, there's gonna be some fool, some troll gonna be saying some stupid like that.
For the sake of the trolls, I think it's manga, but
Right.
that's for the trolls.
But yeah, so when we came out, and instantly back then, you know, Dragon Ball, it was translated in all the different languages.
Yeah.
We read the Chinese comic books of Dragon Ball that was in Mandarin, right?
Yeah.
So that comic book, same thing. And then it was Meteor Garden. So it like automatically our TV show was translated into Korean, Cantonese, Vietnamese, Tagalog, you know, you name it, in the Southeastern Asian countries in Asia, we were
Huge.
Yeah, so
that's huge.
literally it just broke out. And I didn't know how big it got because we were still filming at that time. It took 6 months to shoot that thing. And when we finally finished, they're like, wow, it's really huge. And we were in the middle, we were supposed to go do like a meet and greet. They had to cancel it because too many people showed up and it was unsafe. And then when we went to Hong Kong the first time, our first meetup in Hong Kong, same thing happened. Like right when we got off, like I actually have like the VHS, like the V8 cassette footage, because back then I was documenting a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember going to Hong Kong, getting off the plane. I was just like, yeah, we're in Hong Kong, you know, and seeing fans going buck wild. All of a sudden, they break through security and they bum rush us and they pin us in a corner. And four of us are standing like this, like, oh my gosh, like this is actually happening.
You guys need to hire better security.
We had like 10 or 12, yeah.
That's amazing.
But it was
though.
crazy.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? So that was one of the moments I was like, wow, it actually happened. And the crazy thing was, I wasn't that surprised. Like I wasn't shocked. Like, oh wow, this is happening, you know, because I've saw it, I've experienced it with LA Boys, with Solid. I see them in their walk, in their growth, in fame and fortune, and doing what they love doing, pursuing their passion, music, dance, you know, performing on stage. And I was around that since 15 years old. So from 15 all the way to 22, 7 years of being in that frequency, of being in that energy, of being in that, like, this is something you can do. Like that, I felt was why, looking back now, why it actually all happened the way it happened.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And also, you know, the favor and blessing that God has given me.
You know, something that like, I'm just like listening to you and it's crazy to me. There's so many like personal parallels that I feel. I think Anthony and I were both talking about like at some pocket of life, we've all kind of been in these spaces. And I mean, for one, I think for you to have been exposed to that kind of fandom, stardom from your homies, right? You know, that were kind of already experiencing that level of, call it fame, call it success, whatever it is. And then, so you knowing that like, hey, I'm not that far removed from that. But it's also because you were so passionate genuinely about it. It wasn't like you were like, I want to be famous. You're like, I love all these things, you know? And then when you actually experience it yourself, you're like, oh, okay, now I'm in that seat. You know what I mean? And like, I think you sort of like, one, mentally connecting with it already. Like I get what that's like, but then knowing for yourself that like I'm gonna like enjoy it when it's for me, when it's like not for you in like a selfish way, but for you when you're like, you've now connected with your time. You know what I mean? Now I'm ready because I'm doing what my homies were doing. And like now I get to experience that.
And I think that's a super huge part of it because like remember when we were up at Nike and stuff and they were just talking about this one story. We would go up to like headquarters to like consult on the shoe for Nike.
Yeah, I want a shoe, by the way.
Oh, we'll get you the shoes. We'll get you the shoes somehow. I gotta buy them though.
No.
Full price, 10% off.
Come on, Nike.
But
Seriously, Brenda.
But
Calling out names. Let's go.
But for example, they were telling us this like epic story about how back in the day, like this is like early 1900s type stuff, right? When nobody had broken like the 4-minute mile or something like that. So people were saying from a scientific perspective, it was impossible. It was physically impossible. If you were to break that, then your heart would burst because X, Y, Z reason, right? But then the very, very first year that one person had finally broken that, in that same year, like another 5 followed because there was a mental change because you knew that you could do it. If you were following closely, if you were in that scene, if you were in that frequency, you would follow. And I feel like in my own kind of like parallelism, I remember when I was, I had just, stopped working in like regular work, so to speak, and I wanted to entertain the idea of dancing as a career. And one of the most important moments of my life, I remember just having a conversation with Mike Song, and just being like, I hate him. Anyways, and I remember looking at him, and because he was doing it, like, this is like, post 2008, Cabo Modern had just gone on the first season of America's Best Dance Crew. And people had never seen this kind of thing before, where dancers were representing themselves all over the world, performing, teaching, whatever it was, as dancers, not under some sort of like tutelage or credibility, not like they were like a backup for like Janet or like Britney or whatever. They were just them themselves. I was looking at this angry Korean Asian face, you know what I mean? Mike Song just on his own flyers and stuff. So it changed my perception of like what was possible. And I remember asking him, I was like, do you think I could do it? And he's like, yeah, dude, for sure. He's like, dude, you've gotten more opportunities than some people who worked their whole lives off, for this exact thing have gotten. So like you could totally do it. And that was everything to like, to have somebody who was in my own reach, something graspable and attainable. And that was kind of like, yeah, I'm doing it. Yeah, you could do it. And then that changed everything. It gave me this undeniable confidence that it was possible.
Yeah, this tangible feeling.
Yeah. But I can imagine so many people who might not be 1 or 2 degrees away from that thing that they dream of, to not have enough proximity that might encourage or inspire them the reality of their pursuit,
Yeah, because I mean, you also have people that say, well, I went through that. I had tons of support, people who believed in me also, but it just didn't fall through, right? And I've experienced that too. I'm definitely experiencing that right now with certain things in my life that I've been wanting to do, and it's dreams and goals that I'm like I put for myself, that I've not yet attained.
Like what?
Way to put me on the spot, Lee.
But you already know, man.
Directing. So I definitely want to direct. I direct my own music videos. I edit my own music videos. I learned how to do VFX on my own, because it was just because I saw clips and cuts on my music videos from the video shoot, and I'm like, that's freaking dope. But then in the cut that they give me, it's not in there. I'm like, well, why isn't that in there?
I know that feeling.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And they're like, oh yeah, it just didn't fit. I'm like, like I can make it fit. So then it was just trials and tribulations. I started learning. And then one day, one of my albums, I was like, I finally kind of can edit a little bit. I'm like, give me all the material. Give me all the source. Let me do it. I'm like, okay. So they gave it to me. They gave me a rough edit. Edited it myself. I sent it back in. And my manager's like, my label, Universal at that time, was like, it's good. Like, okay, we're going with it. And I was like, wow. Like, that for me, it just said so much. Spoke volumes of having belief and faith in yourself, and actually putting in the work, right? Doing the work, making sure you do the work. Right now, I feel like I'm not doing enough work for where I want to be for being a director. So I'm going to work on that. But it's doing the work. It's believing in yourself. And then sooner or later, if it sticks, great. If it doesn't, it's all good, because at the end of the day, God always has something better for you in store. If it's not now, it's going to be for later. If it's
for sure.
He's never late. He's never early. He's always on time. I always say it like, if I'm holding on to something so tight and I'm just like, I'm like, this is mine. I can't let it go. I just can't. It's just so mine. And the guy's like, wait, just let me give you something. You're like, no. This is mine, right? But then if I'm holding it like this, and then he just takes it away, and I'm just like, it's good. It's good. Just because he wants to put something better in my hand. And when I see it, I'm like, yo, I got 10 messages that wants me to do this thing right now. It's like, it's honestly at the end of the day, I have to hone in on that energy and frequency.
Dude, you're super speaking like into my life right now, man. Like it's crazy. I mean, like
Switch
dude.
chairs.
Yeah, right. But no, I mean like the whole faith thing, God thing, bro. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
And I have this sort of like saying for myself too, like live life with a loose grip.
Oh, amen.
Like hold on to the things that you feel like are important to you, but loosely. You know what I mean? Because there's seasons in life, and sometimes something's supposed to stay in that season for X amount of time, and then there's a time where it's supposed to transition.
Yeah.
But if you won't let go of it, then the transition won't happen.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And you have to be like, okay, like let me loosen up that grip. And it's like a monkey swinging from, vine to vine. You got to let go of one vine to get to the next, and I completely hear that. And something that you said earlier about like being not the most, talented person in the room, or not the best at anything. But like,
I know I'm not the best looking guy.
But I mean, here's the thing. It's tough being above average,
That's
mane of hair, and
about to go stand up. Watch out, Roddy Chang. No, I'm kidding. Funny Asian dude.
Let's talk
Jimmy O
about
Yang. They're awesome, dude.
But I mean, well, you put in the work. And you talking about from Weight Watchers as a little kid, and we get it, bro. Like you have to build up that discipline to, work at the craft, to keep even the weight off, right? All that. And like, us being around the same age, so I completely resonate. Like, yeah, you got to put in the work to maintain, or even as you're talking about growing into something else, like growing into something that you've never done yet, directing, and you're like, yeah, I'm not actually doing enough of the work for me to get there, but being aware of enough of yourself to be like, okay, I have to put in more then, and so it's really dope that you have this ability to one, recognize your passions, know that, and not everything is even in your control. You know what I mean? Like,
nothing. That's the false truth. That everything isn't like, I can control this. No, you don't. No, you can't. You can't control it.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Nobody can control anything. Like, am I going to be able to know what's going to happen tomorrow? No. Am I going to know what's going to happen the next minute? No. What can control? I can control myself. So I have self-control. I can control you. I can't control you. I can't control myself. But I can control myself, so I have the spirit of self-control. Right? And then with the control part, I feel like that's where we leave up to, hopes, dreams, good intentions, and like that's where the prep work starts. Yeah. Right? The prep work is one thing. But even if you prep all that and you don't have the character to sustain it, you're not going to get it. You're not going to be able to hold on to it, even if you do achieve it. Because Bill Johnson said, like, if you don't have the character for it, God probably doesn't want you to have it just yet. Right? And if you can't celebrate other people's victories, you don't deserve your own victories. Wow. Right? And when he said that, I was like, whoa. Right? Yeah. Like, it really made me go like, yeah, I was that was just like, well, why is he getting that role and not me? Like, why is he singing that song and I'm not, because back then, going back to Asia, I was like, everybody loves hip hop and R&B. That's what we're doing, right? No, you're doing canto pop. That's what you're doing. And you're dressing like this. And I'm like, gosh, no, I need my cross colors. I need my jabots, you know what I mean? I need all that, but I wasn't able to have that. I was put into this, we know what's best for you because we've been in this industry more. Yeah. But now it's proven that's not the case. And it never really was. But then it's just people. It's the elders willing to let go of their own self and or just like being excited about the next thing that's happening, about what's happening, and about the synergy that is happening in this moment, about somebody who has passion for this, so. Yeah.
I mean, not to speed up
of course,
but because we're talking about like your entrance into this whole entertainment, music, dance industry, but then from there you went into so many other categories, from design to being an entrepreneur to being an actor. Like, for somebody who's kind of like feeling that, I'm not the most talented, how do you break into
we mean
every
I'm
other
most talented? What you saying? I'm not
As
talented.
you said, I'm not saying you said it.
Ben just fucked
I
up.
just
I'm
said I probably didn't
reiterating.
dance that well.
I think you're
or-
very
or-
talented, bro. I
me
think
eating
you're-
my
야, 죽을래? 야, 뭐야? 뭐라고? 야, 이씨. 야, 이씨.
형, yeah.
That's very
죄송해요,
cultured.
죄송해요. But like, no,
He said
for
the
real though.
chule.
Like,
야, 죽어. 야, 이씨.
we
Sorry.
were speaking Korean to each other. But you know, you broke into so many other categories
Yeah.
successfully. You know what I'm saying? It's not, you're not dabbling, you're not trying, you're doing, and on a major level.
I definitely have failed. Like, you fail all the time. You know, I did my jewelry brand called 3VO7 because that's the alphanumeric, you know, 3 and then the V and then the O and then the 7. You flip it around, it says love, right? Back in the pager era.
Let's go.
Right, that's
Yeah,
right.
I had a pager.
I was
dog.
doing
Come
boobs on pagers, but that works too. What is that? 58008 upside down.
800-87355. Boop less.
Boobless, that's
Boom
right.
less.
Such a random thing to be infatuated with.
Wow.
There was,
cool.
yeah, but there was, you know, the 911, the 8282, pali pali. You know, there's all, you know. So I just, you know, like I said, I failed a lot, but it was a learning experience. I wouldn't say failed. I learned, and I paid tuition.
Pay
Right.
tuition. That's definitely a righteous theme on this one.
I'm about to pay more tuition. I ain't kid you. I'm about to pay some more tuition these next couple months, I think.
What are you alluding to right now?
Directing.
Directing, absolutely.
I'm probably gonna pay some tuition, but it's it just goes back to, you know, even with the shoes that I'm doing right now, like the designing and stuff. It went from creating a jewelry brand, not having the right team, to all of a sudden one day it just fell into my lap. It wasn't like I was searching, like, hey, I'm gonna do this shoe brand, I'm gonna do this freaking apparel, sneakers, right? And we're gonna freaking blow up. No, it was just like that had many offers to do clothing together. Happened once, didn't work out so well. And then the next one, when it came along, all of a sudden it was just like 5 people. And then then there was conflict, internal conflict, and then everybody's dispersed. And then the one person that was head of production hit me up. He goes, "Do you just want to do it?" I'm like, "Really?" It's like, "Yeah, just you and me." I'm like, "All right, let's see what we can do." Because the other 3, they were like, you know, artists, like super talented artists. Shout out Jaehan. And then like this other guy who owned like magazines in Asia and all that stuff, right? But they had a falling out, and at the end of the day, there's like, okay, well, me and you, we can just do it. I'm like, all right, screw it, let's just do it, let's give it a go. And then so he handled all the production, and then he did a lot of the designs, and then I participated wherever I could. And then next thing you know, the shoe was the one that picked up storm.
Yeah.
We wanted to do clothing, but the shoe, it just took off. It became literally, we sold it for about, I think, excuse me, about 100, like, a bill, right? Maybe over like $1.25 or something like that. And then it was resold for close to 5.
Wow.
Whoa.
So it started building that type of momentum. and then one day, my friend asked me, "Yeah, do you want to do Yoji's campaign?"
Yeah.
You know, and then Yoji Yamamoto, you know, Yoji-sama, he's freaking, I call him, and with no disrespect, but the Karl Lagerfeld of Japan, you know, the designing of creative, you know, that clout, that status, you know what I mean? That's how I kind of like use my analogy on him, or similarity. But he's like, "Yeah, do you want to shoot this campaign?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." He's like, "Okay, cool. And you got to fly out." I'm like, "I'll fly out." And then probably have to bleep
No,
all-
you could say fuck.
all
It's
good,
okay.
man.
I know, but none of my fans really hear me cuss.
Oh, no, yeah. He's
But
been
it's all
cussing up
good.
a storm, by the way, before the cameras were on. Just all the worst things you could think of. You said it.
It's okay. Cussing in Christ.
Cussing in Christ. I might have done that a couple of times.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
Jesus loves me just the same.
Amen.
But yeah, and then all of a sudden we had dinner, and then you know, he's like, "Oh, you want to go sing? Let's go sing." So we went singing. I went KTV with Yoji-san. And then I was there, I was like, "Oh man, I just really want to give him one of my shoes." Like, "Yoji-san, I would like to gift you my shoe. It was one of those, I know you have your own shoes and everything, but it would really mean a lot if you would just accept this, you know? And he was like, this your shoe? I'm like, yeah. You made this? I'm like, yeah, me and my partner, you know, we designed it, he did it. Can you make shoes for me?
Oh my God.
Right? And it was that simple. And that's when I'm like, when it's yours, it's yours. My mom has always said this to me when I was a kid. 是你的就是你的，谁想要拿走都拿不掉，不是你的，你再想要去拿都拿不到。Ultimately, what it's saying is, if it's yours, nobody can take it away. And if it's not yours, you can never get it.
Wow.
No matter how hard you try, and no matter how hard they try.
It's huge.
I always look back, I'm like, you crazy woman. Like, what are you talking about? Who's yours? This is yours. Mine. You know, like, but she planted that seed, and you know, and when it's yours, it'll just come.
Next thing you know, you're in a KTV with a creative wife through, and you're thinking about your mom. That's amazing.
Yeah, and you
Stop laughing, Chad. We're in a live podcast right now.
live podcast, Chad. Come on, be professional.
Can't be laughing at my jokes like that, bro.
That's so good.
But it was just one of those things that it was just like, that's how I feel like when it's supposed to be yours, it's not going to be hard.
Wow.
And it'll only be hard because you're not ready for it yet.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And once you say yes to something, God gives you the grace for it.
Let's go.
It means like, even though you don't deserve it, but once you agree to it and you say yes to it, you'll be able to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's really good, man.
That is amazing. That's...
Yeah.
Man, I mean, like, dude, I know we're a little bit short on time, man, and like we want to respect your time as well, but just your journey, bro. I know that, like, just hearing, even seeing the pauses from you of like, you're trying to gather, how do I say this right now? Because there's so much depth and like, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of history. There's a lot of, I feel like there's a lot of soul searching in the midst of all these things, but I know that it's really coming from a place where it's one, coming from a place of love, that you really love the things that you do, and that you pour all of you into the things that you're passionate about, and you're sort of like driving force. And so you know, for me, I get curious about like what drives people to do everything that they do, right? So for you, with the wheelhouse of things that you're into, right? From, you know, acting, music, fashion, producing, you know, all the things, entrepreneurship. I know you're like into NFTs and things like that. Like there's just so many things that you're just like, man, I want to do it all.
Yeah, shout out. NFT. That's the new. Let's go.
He's hella right, though.
JPEGs. Come on. I mean, seriously, it's a JPEG, but it's cool. It's a cool JPEG.
It is cool.
It's a modeled series JPEG where only you own that number.
This is true.
That's NFT 101 right there.
But it's great. It's so great.
It's great. So as wrapping all that into just this nutshell of like, why? Like, why do any of this? Like, why do you do what you do? And then, you know, we have this whole, like, we all want to be successful. We want to, you know, check out of this life feeling that we did our thing. And so we have this sort of like, you know, subjective term of success that we all like kind of are searching for or trying to grasp. So why for you? Why are you doing everything that you do?
There's a couple answers to that. One, why not? Right? Why not?
That's usually a good enough answer for me. But yes, keep going for everybody. I'm a why not guy too.
Right?
But you continue.
Why not? Who gives a F? Why not just do it? And second, because I have faith that my life is going to be a blessing to somebody else, as other people's are to me on a daily basis.
Wow.
Your guys, literally, Kinjaz lives has blessed my life immensely by being who they are and truthful to the passion and the pursuit of dance and what that community and culture means to the person. because I grew up in that. It means so much to me, right? So that's the second reason, right? And the third one is because I want to challenge myself to experience miracles on a daily basis, because I believe that we are supposed to experience marginal, minute scale of miracles. And just because they're minute and marginal doesn't mean that they are not. That doesn't mean that the magnitude of it and the scale of it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
So I look at it big and small, and because everything goes into detail. When Kinjaz are dancing, and then all these small, minute details grow to become something even more bigger. And it's because of these details that on the grander scale of scheme means so much more.
Mhm.
Without the small, minute details, you can't get the grandiose.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mm.
Thank you for saying those great words about Kinjaz, though. That means a lot.
I mean, honestly, that's like when I say I love Mike's song, I literally drove from Roland Heights. He was teaching an OC. I think it was like a popping class, and it was only like, I don't mean to say it like in any disrespect.
Give the truth. Give it the truth. It's okay.
I just wanted to meet Mike.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just wanted to meet, because like when I first saw him, it was through Kaba. It was through ABDC, the
Gunshot routine.
gunshot rate,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, who's this guy? And then it said Kaba. I was like, Kaba, we homies.
Yeah.
I know him. I know his background. Like, right? But I show up, I'm like, he doesn't know me at all. And I'm at like Judy DeFord or whatever, or this dance school in Newport.
DeForest, yeah.
Yeah, right?
DeForest, yeah.
Yep.
Newport Avenue or something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I used to teach there for times.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was like a night class, and there was only like two white people, right?
Yeah.
And then I show up, right? And he was dancing, but he was going real easy stuff, basic stuff. But I was messing them up too, because I was just like, oh, wow, it's Mike's song,
Hell yeah.
And then afterwards, I went up to him, I was like, yo, Mike, I'm like, I love your, you're really cool. And I think I kind of scared him, and I might have put him off, but ever since then, it was just like, I really appreciate it. And then that's how I knew Kinjaz also, because he was in Kinjaz.
Yeah.
He was doing Kinjaz, and then the more, I was like, wow, I see it all. And then when I met you, Anthony, and you're talking about CA, you know what I mean? And then talking about Kaba, and then the fact that I said freaks of nature, and you guys were like, whoa.
Yeah, freaks of nature.
Right, for us, we were just kids that love dancing, and wanted to impress chicks, honestly, at that time.
What do you think we all did it for?
That's
right?
how it all starts.
We did Vibe. We did, what was it? We did Import Show Off. We did, what was it? Hot Import Nights, maybe?
Hot and poor nice, yeah.
Yeah.
In Cheyenne.
Shout out Ken Miyoshi, Kent Chen, Mark Fada, all these guys that created all these things. I felt they were the ones that created Fast and Furious, right?
Yeah, totally.
Without Hot Import Nights or Import Show Off, you would not have Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
You would not have, and it's all due to from the option magazines back then, the Japanese option magazines that would go
I used to
into
get those,
Yaohan, all that stuff.
The ones
and,
where like the front was in the back of the magazine.
yeah, all these things, right? So it was just honestly living, being in that culture, and then just believing that this culture is so good and it's meant for something greater than just, street racing, going to Ontario and doing that freaking quarter-mile street race.
Yeah.
Man, we got pulled over so many times by cops when we went to all those things. So it's just like coming full circle now. You see all these things happening, and you're just like, wow, God, like these things that I experienced as a kid till now, I'm meant to do something with it. Whether it's just sharing the story or actually telling it visually, but I'm meant to do something. We all are meant to do something with our lives. because we were all born for greatness. I fully, wholeheartedly believe this. We were all born for greatness. Every day is an opportunity for us to make it the best days of our life, you know, and it's just how you go about it. And so it goes back to, this will probably be another part. I'm really chill on time. I don't know how you guys are, but for me, my belief in myself all stems from the truth of unconditional love and grace that I've felt from God. And I grew up Buddhist. My whole family was Buddhist. We did we did the chants. We did Dabezo, Namahano Dana Dona Jiri, you know, like that whole thing. We did all of that. But it was me moving to Taipei one lonely night by myself, needing to shoot meteor guard the next morning. Couldn't sleep because my ex at that time, but still love her to death. You know, it was relational problems, right? Couldn't sleep. I just said, God, I really need to sleep. I need to work tomorrow. And it just felt like I blinked and then it was daylight. And then at that moment, I was like, okay, you might be real. Like,
Wow.
It felt like that. The reality of, oh, wow, it's daylight. You know what I mean? And so for me, it was like, all right, I'll kind of figure out who you are. You fast forward, long story, right? But without a test, there's no testimony. Without a message, there's no message. You know,
Let's go.
that's all that church jargon that they say. But it's a great jargon. But yeah, it was true that to this day, all my family, they all got baptized.
Wow.
They all.
Whoa.
Yep. Last year, my dad, the most hard traditional Asian freaking, you know, growing up from Taipei mofo, got baptized.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And he was like, yeah, I want to get baptized. Da, 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 da. And I fasted from alcohol for 6-7 years because I was like, all right, until you know the peace and love that I have from God, I'm not gonna drink. And he's like, okay, whatever, right? And then I had another friend he was in the mafia. He was a gangster, like literally legit. Grew up, born and bred in that life. In Taipei, God bless him. But his grandfather his father was literally, when I say he was born into it, he literally was born into it. But he was my best friend in Taiwan, and he grew up, and then he was like, "That's such no way." Da, da, da. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put your name on that list, and until you know God, that peace and love and joy that I have, I'm not gonna drink with you. And he goes, "F you," and he's like, "Yeah, da, 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 all that shit, right?" And then you fast forward, he got baptized.
Oh my God.
One day he messaged me. He was like, "Yeah, can you take me to go introduce me to your God?" I'm like, "He's your God too. You just don't know it yet. He's always there for you, you know." And and he literally got, and then before then, he never got any tattoos. You know, like ink for gangsters are like, it's a symbol, right? He was like, "No, only my underlings," he would say. "My 小弟弟，因为弟弟才去做这个东西. Only my tongsengs do this," right? He's like, but the day that he got baptized afterwards, boom, full sleeve. He got angel, he got Jesus, he got cross, everything. He's like, "No, because this is for life." He said,
That's
"This is for
crazy.
life." And I was like, wow. So I didn't mean to get all preachy right now and
Nah,
all that
bro,
stuff.
No,
Yeah.
it's okay.
To me, this is music to my ears, bro,
Yeah.
because we're speaking the same language, man. I get
But,
it. Yeah.
let's climb ourselves out of this hole and try to land this thing. Let's go into
This is what
lightning
we
round.
do, man. We figure it out, dude. We freaking freestyle this.
And we drink.
Then we
Yeah, but yeah. This is a little clicker right here.
tequila.
Checkpoint.
This is where you cut back in, Renee.
Yes, and this is where we.
This is where you cut back in.
This is where
Renee.
we need to go to our sponsors. You know,
Yes.
Exactly.
Whether you want it to be
Exactly.
Casamigos
Or Weight Watchers.
or Weight Watchers, man.
Damn.
Well, Vin, dude.
It was pretty scarring at a point, but yeah. Okay, sorry.
No, dude. like we said earlier, man, we can go forever with you, man. You know, we'd love to have you back at
I'd love to come back,
another
honestly. I would
time.
love to come back.
But in classic podcast fashion, we like to end it with a quick, fun little lightning round. So we're gonna just throw some questions at you, and then just come with off the top answers. Here we go. Lightning round in 3, 2, 1. What's your favorite food?
Oh gosh, damn. My mom's cooking.
That's very good. Current favorite musical artist.
That's not lining at all. I mean, I'll go straight to Post.
Post Malone?
Post Malone.
Yeah,
Okay.
fun.
Post.
Who's your childhood hero?
Childhood hero, Boogaloo Shrimp.
Boogaloo Shrimp.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was breaking, right? Boogaloo Shrimp.
Yeah.
He skirting off topic real quick. He was actually at the import show of San Diego. And at the street dance competition portion, the first one that I actually participated, he was one of the judges. So, and that's when, back in the days, that's when it was a lot of different dance crews. LOST. You guys remember LOST?
Yes.
Ladies of
Yes.
Sweet Temptation.
Yes.
Ladies of Sweet Temptation.
There's this girl named Crystal. She was so hot. Dude. Crystal, you were like the one for all the freaking gearhead cats. You know what I mean? That's the motorheads. That she was the one.
Okay.
LOST, part of LOST.
Got it.
She was Filipino. She's beautiful, Pinay chick.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Love to hear it.
yep.
That was the same era as like Kai, right? Kai was right around that era.
Kai, the singer.
There was I think it was a trio, right? Chad knows.
Eyes adore
Chad
you.
knows. Come on.
When you
Yeah.
never said a word, my eyes adore you. Yes, I remember.
He's kind of a singer, He kind of sings.
When you said Kai, I just remember that. Yes, I remember them. But yes, Boogaloo Shrimp was one of the judges.
Yeah. Turbo.
And he Turbo, and he
Yeah.
came up to me and he was like, "You, I loved what you did," and I was like, "Holy, this is the guy that I saw on HBO on my TV in Newport Beach, right? Multiple times because it keeps repeating, and it wasn't necessarily the broom dance." It was him dancing on the ceiling because back then it was breaking 2 for me at that time.
Yeah.
Then I saw breaking 1, and I was like, "What is this magic?" And it was just glorious. It was really cool. So
Love it.
yes, childhood hero at that time, Boogaloo Shrimp.
Boogaloo Shrimp. Okay. If you had to choose
Oh,
one,
and Mr. Wiggles. Sorry.
duh, of course, Mr. Wiggles.
It's good.
That's like
I'm
a
sorry.
given.
It was literally all the dancers and Yokoi and like Electric Boogaloo. They were all dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was like the Japan Dance Delight, Osaka
Dance Delight. Tokyo Dance Delight.
Tokyo Dance
Yeah,
Delight.
yeah,
all
yeah.
it was literally all the dancers were all my heroes growing up.
Love
Yeah.
it. If you had to choose one, music, acting, fashion, directing, choose one.
Dance.
Man,
Love it.
This is definitely the most dance that
No.
I've ever gotten from you in general.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to say this because y'all kinjas and all that stuff and we're in dance and everything, but no, it literally, I think after hearing my backstory, you guys can kind of understand.
Yeah, no, totally.
Understand.
No, totally.
Reposado. No, sorry. You guys can
Reposito.
understand,
You can,
right?
you can
Reposito.
Reposito.
You could
You can
reposito.
reposito. That's really good. You can reposito. That dance literally helped spark a lot of beauty in my life.
I
think.
love it.
Yeah.
So good. So good.
Proudest moment.
Ooh. Taking care of my family.
Mm.
Yeah. Well,
Beautiful.
I can't say one, but it was just that moment that like, Mom, I got you. Dad, I got you. Maybe not to the extent that you want, because the extent that you want is like slavery, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But I got you to the extent that I should
Yeah.
be, and that will be always honoring to you, but knowing my role and my responsibility.
amazing.
Yeah.
If you could, don't look too far into this. Keep it semi-lightning.
Right.
But if you could redo 1 year of your life,
Re-
would it be? Redo 1 year of your life. Which year would it be?
Whoa.
Oh, redo 1 year of my life.
Semi-lightning.
Oh, man. Threw him into the dark ages.
Okay, it would be that moment when I decided to not play piano.
Whoa. Okay.
I think
Okay.
at that moment was when there was a seed, if you will, planted saying like, I don't need to do this, right? Rather than like, let's see what you can do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was that moment, and I felt, and there's one thing that and when anybody says, "Oh, what do you regret?" and it might be because it happens to I need to, it helps now, right?
For sure.
I play guitar now because of YouTube. I learned through YouTube how to play guitar, and now I can finally figure out this from this fret to this fret, soloing a little bit. But I'm still not that great. But it's all YouTube. But thinking back, every time anybody asks me, "What do you regret most?" and I always say, "No regrets," right? But
Totally.
But the thing that I wish I could do over is stayed on piano. Yeah.
So we love the concept of mastery. Even within Kinjaz, we always say we're always students.
Of course.
But I think every student can master something, even the most basic technique or a basic life skill. Bruce Lee once says, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear
that one kick 10,000 times."
I don't even need to finish it. You finish it for me.
Yeah.
So what is the thing that you feel like you've put in that 10,000 hours into for you to master?
Grace for myself.
Well said. I love that.
Yeah. Because I'm always going to fail. Fail is such a wrong word. I'm always going to
Miss the mark.
I'm always going to miss the mark somehow, sometime. And it's how I gracefully pick myself up that matters. So, yeah.
That's huge, man. Yo, Van, like, this is my first time really sitting down. I mean, we took a cut in between this. I'm like, yo, we got to talk offline and all that. And we'd love to have you back.
Thank
you. We feel like, dude, you have like a well of knowledge and experience, and you're doing so much, bro. And we didn't even really get into all like the exciting, details of things.
Yeah.
But we know that you're not by any means close to being finished, so we just want to keep tracking with your journey. But I just personally want to thank you for sharing. I'm sitting here just receiving today, you know what I mean? Like just receiving and being inspired and being encouraged, bro. Like Amen. I think just seeing how you are continually going, and then like not just going, but going well, going hard, you know what I'm saying? And it really inspires me in my personal state of life to just be like, word, I see you, you know what I mean? And it definitely it's pushing me, man. And I know you and Anthony have a relationship as well, and
we had a good moment in Shanghai Kinjaz complex, dude. We did. We had a really, really good moment.
And 11/11 said that was when we all rocked, man.
Dude,
that was sick. Yeah.
I had a healing, just torn after surgery, knee surgery, ACL surgery, and I was freaking doing their choreography, right? For the 11
moving platform.
Moving platforms. And wait, who got hurt?
Pat got hurt.
Pat got hurt. Yeah.
That was crazy, dude, because I was like, yo, should I be doing this right now?
You know what's very powerful? Maybe that's the same reason why in this podcast I thought we might be talking about It Man 4. I thought we might be talking about your new album that's coming out that's English and how you want to transition. I thought a lot of those things, but what we ended up experiencing here was similar and parallel to, I remember a feeling that I had over in Shanghai with you because, and maybe call it the relatability of our background, whether it be dance or Orange County or whatever it was, being ABC. Absolutely. Being CADC, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you were just the most down-to-earth cat that I was working with out there. And I remember just finding pockets of time when, through all the hustle and bustle of like trying to choreograph and direct that show for like all these dancers with like, request crew and with Kinjaz, with the SDC dancers and the celebrity judges, working with everybody scheduled at different times to come to the studio to get their private training and to put it in, and then restaging because Pat got injured. All that craziness, I very, very still directly remember those thin pockets that me and you shared. And I all I thought was I was like, oh, this dude's very like me, very down to earth. And to be able to even sit here now, not necessarily talk about just like accomplishments and all that, but to like get lost in our collective frequency and history,
collective frequency.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
just
that.
like a testimony to like exactly that, and even to sit here and feel your power of faith, and I know, you know, my brother Ben too, and how like much that drives his livelihood, not just like his career and passion, but to see it reflective in like your journey as well, and to see how amazing your journey is too.
Thank you.
It's just really, I don't know. You just gotta sit in this room to feel the power. It's very powerful,
man,
and I just
A lot
want
of
to,
power in this room right
throw
now.
gratitude out for this
Yeah.
moment and being able to know that, like, I know our conversation will be continued in many
Amen.
different
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah,
But I'm so glad we got a
Yeah.
chance to have you come in here and have this conversation
for
the way
sure.
it went down. You know,
Oh gosh,
very uplifting, very very powerful and inspiring. And
Yes.
dude, just mad happy for you and mad happy for us to
Thank
have you,
thank
you know, in our
thank
space.
you.
Period, dude.
Yeah, like honestly, for me, it's we could talk about accomplishments all day, or you
Yeah.
can just go read about it, right?
Yeah.
But those are great stories. But the story that matters are the ones that really matter.
Yeah.
And what are the ones that really matter are the ones that I think each and every one of us personally know what matters.
Mhm.
We know what's going to look good, but what's going to feel good, ultimately feel good, is what matters the most.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
man. Well, man, we know your story is not anywhere close to finished, bro. So we want to continue to track your journey. How can people follow it? Where can
Oh.
people find your stuff, man?
We were going to talk about this earlier, but we completely didn't even talk about it. I'm actually releasing an English album in the States
Let's go.
Heck yeah.
under.
You worked with Hawk?
I
Oh,
work
oh,
with Hawk. Hawk is the boy.
yeah,
Hawk is
yeah,
the man.
Yeah.
Freaking love Hawk, dude. I met him from Street Dance China.
Yeah.
Um,
Shout out Hawk.
but yeah, and I saw him, he was LMFAO, but then he was also an amazing, you know, ABDC. But yeah, so albums being released under Virgin Records, and Hawk did the first music video. He
Yeah,
did the first
Chill.
single, Chill.
Yeah.
Second single's coming out. It's called It's On. Shot that in Taipei. If you see all my music videos, my hairstyle is always different because it's just shot throughout 2 years time frame, you know, because of COVID. The next one I'm gonna shoot in LA. And it's written by Brian Lee. But follow me on. Gosh, it feels so weird to say that.
Just plug it, bro.
Just follow
We'll plug
me
it for you if you don't want to say it. We'll
On
plug it for you.
IG or TikTok.
Yep.
You
You
got
do
a TikTok.
yeah.
You're hip. You're hip, bro.
No, I'm not.
At
I'm not.
Freaks of
I'm
Nature.
so
I'm
not hip. It's so funny.
I
to
wish
me.
it was Freaks of
Bro.
Nature, bro.
Yeah, right. I should be called Freaks of Nature. I'm actually thinking about bringing back Freaks of
Let's
Nature.
freak
Just
go,
freaking.
dog.
We're
Yeah.
all Freaks of Nature. You know what I mean?
Okay.
We're all Freaks of Nature
Yeah.
because we are not bound by what nature says is. We surpass that, so we're all Freaks of Nature.
Yeah, but the problem is people don't know how to follow that right now. So what?
Right. Okay.
So what's
So
your
Van
actual
S. Wu
Van
on
S. Wu,
IG
there
it is.
and
Van S. Wu.
TikTok, and then I got Weibo and Van Wu on Twitter and all that stuff. It just feels so weird because I've never really plugged that
Yeah,
stuff.
I get it, bro.
You know, I've never
I get it.
in Asia. You just don't do it, right? And over here, I came back. The first thing that I did when I talked to the label over here when they were distributing my was like, "How's your TikTok?"
That's
Right?
so
When-
regular.
Yeah,
When they
dude.
said that to me,
so
I'm like,
LA, man. Sorry, bro.
Yo, and no caps, right? On Virgin. Love you, Virgin. Thank you. But it was just like, wow, really? Like that's where we're at right now. But it's cool.
It's cool.
But it's cool
It
because
is
you know
cool.
why?
That's such a realistic answer.
I love it. It's
Because
because
I'm learning.
Yeah,
Right?
totally.
I didn't need to go on TikTok as much because
Yeah.
I'm learning IG, right?
Yep.
And then all of a sudden came back here. You need to go on TikTok. So slowly I'm doing more TikTok stuff. But I really appreciated TikTok actually because the fans that followed me over from IG, I'm like, yo, you are like the real ones that are gonna just be with me, and just want to hear me talk about stupid nonsense because you support my journey. And then I'm like, all right, great. Then I'm gonna talk about my faith. I'm gonna
Yeah.
talk about what got me here.
yeah,
You know, so
I love
Yeah.
it, man.
Doesn't sound like stupid nonsense, but I also
Not at
love
all.
it.
Not at all. Dude,
thank you guys. I
Vanness,
mean,
thank you so much for coming and spending some time with us, man. We'd love to have you back to continue
sure.
the conversations.
let me know.
Absolutely, absolutely. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in, for listening in. If you guys are digging what we're doing, hop on to your podcast platform. Leave us a 5-star rating if you think we deserve it. Write us a review. Talk to us. We'll talk to you back. Tag us on social media. KINJAZ Podcast, Cast with a K, Twitter, IG, Facebook, all the things. We'll regram all that stuff. and take a screenshot if you're loving it, and we'll show you love right back. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we have a lot of other episodes. If you guys are finding this one dope, trust me, we got way more in the archive, so get back into those episodes. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you guys next time. Love y'all.
Kinjaz bang.
Kinjaz bang. Peace.
Noodles.
Noodles.